Good morning, everybody. I am super excited to have Vic and Diamond join us today with VEG Exteriors. They are my preferred roofers, and I love this opportunity to have them on where we can just kind of ask questions and have them just kind of guide us through what it looks like to go through the process with roofs, especially here in Colorado. We are always having issues with our roofs, and always having, it always comes up during inspection, especially with all the hail that has recently hit our state. So I am going to turn it over to Vic and Diamond. They're going to do an introduction of who they are, and then we'll open it up for any Q&As that we might have after they give us a presentation on who they are.
Very good. My name is Victor Guerrero. We own VEG Exteriors, started back in August of 2020. We primarily do roofing. We can do some exterior siding and windows and doors if needed, but our focus is roofing. Where we've learned in our short time in being in business is a lot of carriers or a lot of homeowners will run into a situation where their roofs will need to be replaced. Average roof being anywhere from 8 to 10 years in the state of Colorado because of the large volume of hail that comes through. So you kind of get into a scenario where a lot of people aren't real clear on what happens with these claims, and they basically have to go to their carriers and figure out what kind of coverage they have. We tell them to make sure they understand their coverage before they go to any type of filing a claim, because the minute you file a claim, it's on record. Carriers have a tendency that after you've had too many claims, they'll drop you. They're notorious for it, and then puts you in a scramble to go find new insurance. So as we deal with realtors and homeowners getting ready to sell or buy a home, we tend to get the inspections done, and then we give them an idea of what they do, what they're going to need as far as a new roof. If it's obviously smashed with hail, we tell them that they had to file a claim. But again, we tell them to make sure they understand their coverage, so that they know what their deductible is, whether or not they have a replacement cost value, and very important, if they have what they call code and ordinance or code upgrade, which allows them to bring their older roof to the current code. Some carriers will pay for that. Some carriers have exclusions, or you have to have an endorsement to have it. We just tell people to make sure you understand it. And in that, deductibles tend to be a huge surprise. We've had people with $500 deductibles. We've had people with $20,000 deductibles, and carriers will hold you to that. Also, they'll, if it's a carrier that has a roof that is in excess of sometimes like 10 years, will depreciate the roof to a point where you're coming out of pocket 75% to, anywhere between 25 and 75% out of pocket. So we've strongly encouraged people to know that. How does that affect you as a realtor? You're going to get into a sale, and some buyer is going to come and they're going to say, hey, we want a new roof. You need to know exactly what the condition of that roof is. If it's something that can be repaired, obviously it's less money out of pocket. If something that needs to be replaced, then you have to know these coverages. Otherwise, it could take a large chunk out of your sale. And if you need to increase the price of that home. That's up to Beth. Get with Beth on that. But the roofs are very expensive. They can run anywhere between $750 to $800 a square, and you need to be aware of that. Mm-hmm. So we want to help any way we can with Beth. The experience that we've had, she sent us out to a couple claims, a couple homes, and we found damage, and we've had to scramble to get the home repaired before the sale of the home, which can be done. But every case is a case-by-case scenario. My suggestion is to get it inspected, know where you stand. So if you get to the point with the buyer coming in and they start making demands, you at least have a good position where you're at. So we're here to help.
Mm-hmm. Diamond, do you have anything to add, maybe like about your guys's history, where you guys got started and how long you've been in business?
So I'm actually the last person that got started with VEG. Actually, I took over the marketing and client relations. We actually are a family-owned business, and I personally, on my own opinion, love it because you do spend a lot of time with coworkers, so you might as well enjoy them and have an excuse to hang out with your pops. But I really do love the roofing industry. You do learn a lot. And I think the one advice that I like to kind of teach, or my dad kind of taught me to teach all clients, is understanding your policies make this a lot easier. And having a good insurance agent that you can contact and explain that to you in detail is important. So yeah, definitely have a lot more to learn, but I'm loving it. I'm almost a year in, so here we are.
That's awesome. How long have you been in business, Vic?
August 20th or August 2020 is when I got started. Now I've been in construction since 1997. I just have just basically went out on my own and focused specifically on roofing. Many different types of roofing. We try to focus towards the asphalt and residential roofing. We have access to metal, we have access to TPO, but we primarily focus on the asphalt. It just seemed to be the best avenue for us. So 4 years, we've seen a lot of different things. Obviously, haven't seen everything, but in that time, there's definitely a market there because most clients really don't understand the process of the claims portion of it. And heck, we've seen roofs 40 years old that aren't leaking. We've seen roofs a year old that are leaking. So it's a process. We make sure that the system is placed correctly and just try to be a support to our clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're talking about one of the roofs that we did recently in Boulder that was older than I don't even remember how old it was. And it was very impressive how well he took care of that roof. But yeah, it was not leaking, and he took very good pride in how well he took care of that roof. It was pretty
Yes,
impressive.
he was a good guy. He understood the basic construction. He did a good job, but everybody wanted a new roof, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with it. It was an
Yeah.
older roof, but it was placed correctly, and we run into situations where people want a new roof just because they want a new roof. If it's not leaking and it's mechanically strong, we'll let people know that. Now, there's one thing that folks need to understand, and this is something that will be brought up to different realtors, is insurance carriers are obviously starting to move towards protecting themselves. The hail in this area is been huge. We're in the top handful in the nation for hail damage, and claims have gone through the roof. So carriers are protecting themselves by a couple. Sometimes to 2%. We don't see that often, but 1% is very, very common. And what that does is that means more money out of pocket for the homeowner. They'll age the roof. So some carriers, after 10 years, if the roof has not been changed, then they'll start that depreciation I was talking about. And the first hit's about 25% out of your pocket. So there's a portion or a co-insurance that comes from you. We've seen a roof that was 40 years old. We got there and the insurance carrier would only pay 25% of the roof because the policy said that's what they had to pay. And a lot of times that's driven by the Department of Insurance. But you'll see that the homeowners are now being expected to have skin in the game, where before a roof that is of that age, the carrier would pay for it in full. They're leaning away from that now. Carriers are really starting to protect themselves. And homeowners need to know that it's a business model. They're not there to just replace roofs just because they need to be replaced. So if the homeowner understands that, then you're going to run into different scenarios where a buyer is going to say, "Hey, we want this new roof for this reason." Just be prepared to run into that scenario and come up with an idea or some type of a negotiation how you're going to work around that. Ultimately, new roofs are good in our business, but some people are in a situation where they can't move that way. So we just ask people to just be aware, and the smarter the realtor is, the more aware that they are, the better they're gonna present themselves in front of clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So you touched on two things that I'd like to ask you about. We hear about roof certifications. Do you recommend them, or do you not recommend them, or do you do them?
We don't do them, and the reason we don't is a certification. it's real vague on what a roofer means by that. You tie yourself to a roof like that and anything goes wrong, there's a liability for the roofer. What I've seen is roofers that do that, they're doing it just to get up front in line, trying to be the first contact when they need a roof. We guarantee roofs that we place. We'll give them a 5-year warranty on it for any kind of malfunctions or misplacement as far as the work is concerned. So if there's a flashing that's not placed correctly, then we'll give one. We don't certify past that. We'll go look at a roof and let you know the condition of the roof, and we'll look at things like roof penetrations and flashings and the condition of the shingle, making sure the granular retention is there. But certifications is kind of a blank piece of a blank promise. You walk away and a storm could hit and you're leaking, or you could miss something and the roof is leaking. So we don't do that. We know roofers do that, but we tend to avoid that. We try to just give you an idea of where the roof's at.
Yeah, that makes sense. A question that I have, would you or do you recommend when I go to a pre-listing with a seller, and we're sitting down and we're talking and I find out about the age of the roof, and let's say the roof is maybe 5 years old, right? Do you recommend, just not even 5 years old, let's just talk general. Do you recommend that we have a roofer come out and do a pre-inspect on a roof? Why or why not?
Pre-inspection is always good just to get an idea where you stand. Typically what's going to be recognized, correct me if I'm wrong, in the deal, is to have a home inspector come in and make his inspection first. Yes. Then after that's done, if he cites problems with the roof, then bring a roofer in. Roofers are the experts. They see this stuff every day, and they're going to be the only ones that can refute anything that that a home inspection may have pointed out that isn't there. They may get out there and the home inspector might be dead on, and this roof might be trashed, or the granular loss would be horrible, or there's some damage up there that needs to be addressed. I recommend a two-part. Let the home inspector come in and make the observation, and then bring a roofer in there to either confirm or refute what they may have found or may not have found. They're going to be able to come in and give an assessment, and in our case, be able to address what you might run into with a carrier as far as if a claim is needed, or it might be a simple repair that could squash an issue, and then the whole issue goes away. Yeah.
Absolutely. You've done that on quite a few of my homes that go through inspection, and we bring you out. And you're like, oh yeah, sorry, you get to buy a new roof. So, I mean, it's been amazing. And one of the things that I will talk about is how you guys are able to really take. Nobody likes to ever spend money, especially in a real estate transaction. And quite frequently, the sellers get kind of frustrated that they're having to spend anywhere from, I mean, I think the smallest amount I've seen is probably $2,000 or $3,000, all the way up to, I've had people have to replace roofs and their portion was like $9,000. And so nobody ever wants to spend that money, right? But one of the things that I really appreciate about you guys is that you come out, you meet with my clients. My clients feel very, very good about a not good situation ultimately. And it takes the burden kind of off of us as real estate agents, that I'm not having to be the bearer of bad news, or I'm not having to navigate this with them. And I kind of just hand them off to you and let you manage them and take care of them. And you get them from the very beginning all the way to the end when the roof is replaced, and the whole process of replacement. Can you walk us through just what that process looks like, so that agents who aren't familiar with the process, what does that look like from the time I call you and have you come out to the home to the point where you get issued a check or they get issued a check? Can you walk us through that?
Sure. So the scenario that happens, so say in the event that somebody's getting ready to sell a home, which was the very first time that me and Brooke worked together, or me and Beth worked together. She was getting ready to sell a home. The owner, 2 weeks before closing, got nailed with hail. We went out there, we looked at this claim. I said, yeah, you have hail. So first thing I told him, I said, make sure you understand your coverage before you make the claim. Just make sure you understand what your out of pocket will be. Simple call to your agent or simple call to the 800 line to go over your declarations page. And they found out that they had three big questions. What's my deductible? What is my coverage? Do I have replacement cost value, or do I have actual cash value, which is a depreciated portion? And then number 3 is, do I have code upgrade? They had all 3. So we went ahead and asked an adjuster to come out. An adjuster came out. I was able to come meet with the adjuster and review the roof with them. It was an easy claim. They could see hail damage. So they filed. So they actually turned it in to get an estimate of the cost of the claim. 9 times out of 10, the initial estimate coming from a carrier is going to be low, way low. They're coming in with what they call a guideline, says that this is what we're willing to pay for a roof, and that roof is going to cost X. I have seen these estimates, these initial estimates, go up 4 times from the original cost for items that were missed, or items that they thought was one type of shingle, which turned out to be a different type of shingle, or code items that they didn't think were in effect. So I take that initial estimate and we do what we call a supplement. We add to it what we know that they've missed, and I use a team of old or ex-adjusters who used to work for the carrier that know full well what is expected to be paid for by the insurance carrier, and we'll submit that supplement. Again, that supplement I've seen go up as much as 4 times. I'm amazed on how many times the carrier will immediately come back and agree to pay to our price, just on a simple line of questioning. Then we'll get that back. We'll review it again, make sure everything that's included. Roof will be placed. In fact, a lot of times the roof is placed even prior to that, receiving a response to that supplement, because we're confident enough of what we've seen in the past that they'll pay. And then we will negotiate that pricing to where the carrier and I both agree that's acceptable. And then we will invoice the homeowner based on the revised estimate. There'll be a small check that comes in the beginning that we'll collect just to help get the project started. And then after everything has been negotiated and everything comes down to a final price, then we will submit a certificate of completion and the final check will be paid out. So the process is basically we identify damage, they come out, they assess it, they agree with the damage, they give us an estimate. We take that estimate, we supplement it for any items that they may have missed. And after we've come to an agreement, then we send them a certificate of completion and the bill's paid. That's about as simple as the process goes. The supplement portion and the negotiation portion sometimes can get a little hairy, but for the most part, that it comes to a conclusion that everybody's agreed upon.
That's fantastic. And I've seen personally Vic manage this, I mean, multiple times, just over and over. And I'll be honest, on this end, it seems like a very seamless process, which is ideally what I look for when I work with an industry partner. Is I don't need any extra work on my plate or on my end, or my client contacting me saying, hey, I don't know what's going on with my roof. I don't know. I mean, I will tell you, the in-person communication that you provide every single one of my clients has been top notch. And I'm super, super appreciative and thankful for that. I am curious. I had a question and I just kind of lost it because I saw us lose somebody. I am curious. Do you run into situations often where carriers don't want to pay, or they kind of fight you on the roof? And what is the best way for us to be able to help our clients through that process?
So a lot of times I run into where a carrier and I just can't come to an agreement. And in that case, it'll escalate to an arbitration, or it escalate to an umpire. Where in the industry, if we don't agree upon something, I have avenues to take them to a third party to review the file. I have one that I'm getting ready to do it on in another case, and it that specifically lies in a detail of the roof that tends to be both sides carry a different opinion, and that's decking. If the decking is damaged, that's the wood underneath or the sheeting underneath, if it seems to be damaged or it's delaminated, carriers tend to fight back on that because it's not cheap to pull the decking up and replace the decking. I've had carriers that just agree if the pictures are there, and I've had other carriers that don't agree. So I take a lot of pictures in case the decking is damaged, and then we'll turn it over to an arbitrator, and then it's reviewed. Then I've been lucky to be enough to win that first one. I feel good about the second one, but it's a part of the policy where a carrier will argue that whether or not it's covered. And if they get to that point, we'll take it to an arbitrator, and we've had good luck. So that's only been the case, the only time I've ever been the case. If we can present enough photographs and enough proof that something needs to be completed, carriers are likely just to go ahead and pay it, because the legal fees to go beyond that just doesn't make sense for them. And people need to know in the state of Colorado, there's a what they call a bad faith statute. So if a carrier is caught in a situation where they are trying to nickel and dime and not pay the claim, the state can award 3 times the claim plus attorney's fees. So carriers want to avoid that. Sometimes they'll push me all the way to the end before they finally pay, but they recognize that. So carrier wants to be fair. Or in the end, ultimately, it's to their best interest to be fair. But in a lot of cases, you have to lean on it to get it to be done.
That's great. I mean, I just think your professionalism and the way that you convey things. I've yet to have one of my clients come to me and say that the roof replacement has been stressful. So I've been super appreciative. On that note, I do want to ask, I talk to all of my coaching clients how imperative it is for us to find industry partners that support us and make us look good in our industry, right? And I know that that can sound bad, but it's the truth. If you bring in the top-notch, best supportive industry partners, and we're able to help make your business more successful. But the truth is, I coach everybody to be looking for industry partners that make us look good. And the way that we look good is by knowing that I have 100% confidence in who you are and what you do and how you do it and your process. Are there any tips that you can give us as agents of who we should be looking for or how we should be vetting other roofers? Because the truth is, we've got roofers everywhere, and roofers would love our business. But I think it's super important for us to be able to know what type of characteristics or business model or something we should be looking for to be able to help us to be more successful.
So I would strongly recommend look for someone that you click with. My biggest proponent to my daughter was when we got to just find people that you actually click with. Some people you click with, some people you don't click with. I click great with Beth. That we've been able to talk and communicate. But the number one thing between Beth and I is we're transparent. So I try to put it in a bundle, explain to her what I'm doing, make it simple, and then the proof's in the pudding. So after that first lead she gave us, and we were able to get in there and get that roof done and get it done quickly and go through the whole process and handle it. In our case, Beth recognized that there was no hiccups. She didn't have anything to worry about, and she got everything all but good feedback back from what happened with the whole process, and that's huge. So I try to be transparent. I just try to take things off your plate and make sure it happens and it goes without a hitch, and everything gets done right. I make sure I work with the carrier. I make sure I get the permit for the city so that there is proof beyond me that the project was done correctly, and that if they ever need to go back, they can go back to that permit and make sure everything is done right. Transparency, people that you can work with. Reputation is also huge, but sometimes it's tough. You get people that say good things about people, things that say bad, and a lot of times you just have to work with them. So I tell even clients, go with your gut. If you got a bad feeling, then don't play with it. If you got a good feeling, go with your gut. My gut's never lied to me, and a lot of people say the same.
I also think you should be cautious about the roofers that just follow storms that aren't local and don't stay around. If worst case happens, a leak happens the next year and you go to call that roofer and they're completely out of town, I think that would run into some issues compared to local roofers
Yeah,
that you can come
local's
to.
important.
Yep.
Absolutely. Tana, do you have any questions for us today? She's driving, I know that, so I'm not sure if she's got anything.
Um, so I guess I have a question just because I've gone through this. Actually, someone's ripping my roof off right now. And I didn't know about you before this because I've been fighting for about a year. So I had to go to like the arbitration and the umpire and all of that. So, because our insurance did drop us because of our claim, and they did it during the claim and kept denying us. And then we finally got through to the umpire and got coverage. So we're finally getting it replaced. But I guess my question too is about the character of the roofing company. I mean, do you recommend getting multiple quotes? Because, we unfortunately weren't very smart about it. And our neighbor down the street had a guy and he got her covered and through our hailstorm, and we just went with him and decided to continue. And thankfully, it's been a decent experience. We know we're where we're supposed to be, but I'm a little nervous that we are overpaying for the roof as well as that I didn't do my research as much as I should have. So, do you have any recommendations on that?
It's tough to to recommend anything other in a claim situation than to find somebody who knows how to work with the carrier.
Mhm.
You are in a situation that is a prime example. If you don't push the carrier, they'll do everything in their power not to pay the full claim.
Mhm.
And I know that sounds strong, but I mean, I have not run into but a handful of claims where the carriers were upfront and paid in full. But 95% of them, I have to go and ask for all of it. So the average homeowner doesn't understand that. So the value that a good roofer brings to the table is that ultimately all you have to pay out of pocket is your deductible. The carrier sets the price. So we have a software we use, Xactimate, another one's called Symbility, and in that pricing, it has been established what the roof is going to cost to replace. If you have a good roofer, he's going to go through there, get everything you need on the roof to code, put a strong roof on there, and ultimately you will pay your deductible out of pocket. He will bring the value to get the roof up to where it needs to be as far as pricing, and then place that roof. So it may feel like you have overpaid, but to give you an idea, a price for a roof averages anywhere between I'll say 675 to 750 on a roof in northern Colorado, east of or west of I-25, and 4 years ago it was closer to 500. So pricing has really gone up. I think a lot of it is to be blamed on COVID, but a lot of it is to be blamed just on the price of things going up. So in the event that you could do some research and find a roofer that will do it for less, you got to be real careful to make sure that it's going to get placed correctly, and you're going to get a good product on there. I strongly recommend people who do find folks like that get pictures, because after the shingles are on, you don't know what's under there. And the most important part of the roof is the underlayment. So if the carrier agreed to a price and the roofer charged that price, and all you've had to pay is your deductible, 9 times out of 10, you're fine, because the value that the roofer brings to the table is to get the carrier to agree to a market price and then place it correctly. So there are a lot of good roofers out there. There's a bunch of them, and they're out there. They're a business. They're out there to make money. But the larger percentage of them are all putting on good roofs, and you'll know it in the first year if something happens. And if the warranty is good, then that's the advantage of the local thing that Diamond just said, have them come fix it. Sounds like you went through a kind of a chaotic event there then.
Yes, we did. It's been almost a year. So, and we have had to pay more than our deductible, but mainly just for the arbitrate, the assessor that had to come out, and then it didn't get through with the assessor. So then we had to, now the umpire, we had to pay him. The roofer is paying half of those fees, but yeah, so we have had to put a little bit money in, but it's worth it when you can't get, like, we literally had to just get really crappy policy right now because nobody would touch us because there's a claim out and our roof is not fixed. So so it's been a process.
The roof's fixed now?
Well, they're ripping it off right now. So it will be fixed in a week, or about a week, I think. So
What's the
it'll be.
timing of that? This call was right when you're getting your roof replaced.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I needed to know about you a year ago.
No, I haven't gone through a deep arbitration like that, but we are huge proponents for photos. If you got the photos and they're dated, everything's there. If a carrier wants to play hardball, he's going to have a tough time getting past photos. So we take tons of photos. But after it's fixed and everything's on there correctly, then the likelihood of finding coverage is going to be extremely high, unless of course you have a bazillion claims, and that's when they really start kind of standing back. But after the roof's on, finding coverage is going to be a lot easier. Now that brings up a whole nother subject. There are carriers out there that are a struggle to make claims on. And it goes across the board. There's many incidents of some of these carriers being hard to deal with. I have people that I strongly recommend. I have carriers that I work with that are easier to work with than others. So I have a few I tell people to avoid, and I have others that I push them towards.
Will you share those?
On a personal basis. I don't want to get in trouble with anybody, but just get my number and I will share that with you.
Okay, sounds good.
Some that just they're tough, and you really have to bite your lip. But there's other carriers out there that have been easy to work with and tend to take care of their clients. So they're not the cheapest. I hate to use the expression that you get what you pay for, but there are some good carriers out there that tend to take care of their folks. And now you are where are you at in Colorado? Are you in this northern area?
Yeah, I'm in Dacono.
Oh, Dacono. Okay, so Dacono got waylaid, and there's a strong chance they're going to get hit again, just simply because of their location. With this experience, you want to make sure the next carrier you go with, if something happens, they're going to be there. So you keep your fingers crossed and hope it doesn't happen. And hopefully the roofer put a good shingle on there that is going to hold up at least for a couple storms. But do your due diligence, find a good carrier, and yes, I'll share that with you if we can in private.
Thank you so much.
One of the stories that Vic touched on was when actually we met. So I had a pool property in Colorado. So there are very few of them. And I had been trying to sell this house in Dacono for, I think we had been on the market for probably 9 months, and we had never had like a serious offer. We pulled it off the market for the holidays, put it back on the market. I finally got an offer. Everything is great and ready to go to closing. And then we got hit by hail. And I'm not talking like a little bit of hail. And all I'm thinking about the whole time, not only my own roof that got totaled in that hailstorm, but was the roof of this house. And I'm going, oh my gosh, I think I had 3 houses that all were on the market, all under contract. And I'm like, but this house was the only one I could think about because we were so close. I think we were less than 2 weeks from closing, actually. And I called Vic and I was like, I know you're getting slammed and inundated, but I'm like, if this contract fails, like, I can't put this house back on the market and start all over again. And I can't even begin to tell you, like, I'm like his biggest raving fan now because he went out there, ripped off a roof, like put a whole new roof on, and we still closed. And my clients were over the moon, just so pleased and so happy with him. And they recommended him to everybody. But like, you guys definitely like won my like loyalty for that because you came in like in a pinch, because I'm not sure that many other roofers at that point, like, you guys were just getting blown up with everybody needing a roof and needing quotes and whatever. But you guys took me, and it's been multiple times you guys have kind of pushed me up in front of somebody so that I could get to a closing table. So they have really proven their value in making my career and my job seem easier, because I know without a doubt that I can refer my sellers to you guys. And I know that you're going to coach them through the process, and you're going to be like, okay, Beth, when are we closing? And, coaching me through situations that I didn't even know about. I've been in the business 10 years and I didn't even know about a situation that we recently had to go through. And having Vic coach me through step by step and explaining to me how we can make this the most beneficial situation for my seller, and I come out looking like this genius real estate agent when really it was you guys. So it was awesome, and I'm super appreciative of not only you guys always being involved and wanting to participate and be there to help in my business, but just how you take care of my clients. It really does speak volumes, and they all love you guys. So
The opportunity. It's just great to work with good people.
Yep.
And that's what we found is it when you work with people like Beth, it's easy. The clients, they come and they're willing to work, they're willing to ask or answer questions, they're willing to just just be easy to work with, frankly.
Yeah.
And we're lucky enough that we're able to get through these processes, and we've been exposed to enough to know what questions to ask of the carriers earlier, or what questions we need to have the homeowners ask. So it is equally we're equally grateful for that, because it's allowed us to get some great clients, and the referral base off that clients who has been wonderful. So yes, right back at you.
most of the time, sometimes your conversations with me, you're like, I don't know about this lady. So, are there any questions as we get close to wrapping up that you're commonly asked that we kind of haven't covered today that might be good for you to share?
Yeah, the biggest thing we have is a lot of people just don't understand the process. They don't understand that the carrier won't give them their full coverage in the beginning, so we have to explain the supplement process to them. So everybody we've talked to, with the exception of a small handful, don't completely get the fact that the carrier doesn't pay the full thing up front. And the best thing I can contribute it to, or parallel it with, is an auto loan, or an auto accident. If you wreck your car, they're going to come back and say, this is who we want you to use. And in some cases, they're going to try to use knockoff parts and all that stuff. And a knowledgeable policy owner will say, no, I want to use these folks, and I want these parts used. I want original parts used. And all of a sudden, the bill that they estimated at the very beginning doubles, triples, and you have the right to ask those questions as long as the policy will cover that. My biggest thing is tell people, understand your policy. Get with your agent, make sure you understand what it's all about. And if there are exclusions, a lot of times you got to dig to find them. Just make sure you understand it. So in your case, your next policy, you want to make sure you're not going to run into a policy or a scenario where they're not going to be able to cover for whatever reason. So it's been a traumatic experience, but it's been a good one, because going forward, your next carrier, you're going to have a lot better understanding, and you're not going to find yourself in this stressful situation. So we just, that's the thing I would say, understand the policy, understand how the system works, and an educated consumer is a safe consumer.
So as we wrap up, how can we find you? Are you social media, phone? Could you share your contact information with us?
I'm primarily a referral based company. I don't do a lot of marketing. Everything I do is referral. I've had really good luck with it. I get a little grief, but we're looking at different social media stuff
We'll be
now.
getting there.
But VEG Exteriors, available. You can find me on the state registry. I'm in a good standing. My phone number is there. I tend to, I'm available through Brooke Colvin. I'm available through Beth. There's a lot of people who know my name. And if you have a client, please introduce me. I really like referral based, because people have a whole nother attitude when they get a referral. They just okay, call Vic, call Diamond. They'll help you out. I'm going to come approach them with the same attitude you see now. I'm not going to pressure them. Give them some information that they can use. So, but I'm available again on the state registry in the state of Colorado. Just punch in my name or punch in VEG Exteriors. It'll pop right up. And that's why I brought Diamond on a year ago, because I want to at least be a little more available. And you can see Beth smiling and laughing.
Do you guys by chance have a phone number that they can reach you at?
Yes, 720-341-9732. It's VEG Exteriors. Again, my name is Victor Guerrero.
Okay. Is that your direct, or is that an office number?
That is my direct cell line.
Yeah. Vic is great. He'll take good care of you guys. Well, I really appreciate you guys taking the time this morning to meet with me, and Diamond risking her life to trek over to your house to join you. So
Yes, please, everyone drive safe.
I appreciate you guys. I hope you have a great day.
You too.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
Okay,
much.
take care. Bye-bye.